session. And by the way, we do have our own YouTube channel now. And if you're not getting emails consistently, I update the website as frequently as I need to. It's ktbctaos.org. So just keep that in mind. Very easy to remember. Thanks.
Thank you.
So good evening, everyone. And again, it's lovely to see all of you, and thank you for joining. And as usual, I would like to start with a mindful breathing exercise, meditations, to quiet our mind and to bring our mind in moment present. So watching the breath mindfully and being aware. As you breathe in, being aware you are breathing in. As you breathe out, being aware you are breathing out. So just simply watching and being aware of that. Then we can try to have good intention by thinking, by us here coming together, giving our precious time to listen and to reflect and contemplate on what we have heard. And engaging in any discussions, if there is any discussions. Due to all of that, may it be cause and conditions for us to open our mind to improve our love, compassions, and our wisdom. So we can be more help, benefit to other sentient beings, as well as find more peace and happiness in our own life. And may it be cause and conditions to develop all the spiritual realizations of the gradual path to enlightenment. And may it be cause and conditions to achieve our highest potential, the fully awakened state. as soon as possible. And may we always be source of happiness, help and benefit to others. And may we never be cause and source of pain and suffering for others. Okay.
For our opening prayers, we'll start on page 73 with the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha, which we'll do 3 times in English. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, the supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. And on page 97, we will do the short mandala offering once in Tibetan. Sajiho Shunshime And then refuge and bodhicitta before the teaching, we'll do once in English and twice in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chodan Soki Chanama, Chanchu Bardu Dame Kyatsuchi, Tagi Cheshe Gebe Sonamji, Drola Penche Sangye Dupasho. Sangye Chodam Soge Chonamba Chanchu Bardu Dami Kyatsuchi Dagi Shoshe Gebe Sonamgi Yola Penche Sangye Jupasho.
So we just started a couple of weeks ago on this particular very important text of scriptures composed by the founder of the lineage that we follow, Lam Tsong Khapa. And the title of scripture or text is known as the Song of the Experience, Spiritual Experiences. And the main topic of this particular scriptures is the gradual path to enlightenment. And we spoke about a little story, biography of the author, and we also spoke about some of the lineage teachers, starting from the Buddha Shakyamuni, the founder of the Buddhism in our time. And we also spoke about a little bit of the unique, excellent quality of this particular text. And now it comes to the main kind of topics of the text, and where, as I mentioned, is the path to the gradual path to enlightenment. And in order to cultivate we have to cultivate those paths. And in order to cultivate those spiritual paths, we have to meditate, contemplate, practice. And in order to meditate, contemplate, practice, we need to know how to meditate, how to practice, contemplate correctly, unmistakably. And to be able to do that, then, the teachers become important, who can teach, guide, show that how to do it correctly, and so, and then once we have the spiritual master or teachers, then how to rely properly, correctly, and through that proper reliance, correct reliance, and then through that, then we receive the teachings, instructions, advices, and then we try to apply and integrate those advices, teachings, practices in our every life, so that we can have those spiritual experiences. So there we are on the part where the authors discuss about the spiritual masters and how to rely correctly. So in terms of the verse number, we are on verse number 11. Okay, we just finished the verse number 10 last week. So in the verse number 11 here, he said, then the root of creating well the auspicious conditions for all the excellent of this and future lives. So in order to find true inner peace, mental happiness, true mental happiness, joy in this life, as well as future lives, as well as the happiness of total liberation and fully enlightenment. So, and all the excellent inner positive spiritual qualities, of different level of spiritual realization or spiritual experiences, different level of spiritual experiences. It very much depend on creating the right conducive conditions, and the right creating right conducive conditions is then, correctly relying correctly, unmistakably to the spiritual master. So that therefore is to rely properly with the effort, both in thought and in actions, upon the sublime spiritual mentor who revealed the path. So, in order to be able to rely properly in thought and actions upon spiritual mentor or spiritual teachers who show and reveal the path, first we need to find the right qualified spiritual mentor or teachers, and once we find the right qualified spiritual mentor or teachers, then next is how to rely properly in thought and actions. And I think I won't go into details, each of them, but if you read, the commentary of this text, and also the great Lamrim or middle Lamrim, composed by the same author, Lama Tsongkhapa, you can find more detail in those. What are the qualifications of a qualified spiritual mentor or teachers? There is clearly mentions what are the qualifications for the teacher as well as for the students. So studying them, and then once we study what are the qualifications for the teacher as well as for the students, and then trying to see as a student whether we have those qualifications or not. And if we don't have those qualifications, how to improve those qualifications in our side. As for the teachers, whether the teacher has those qualifications or not, for us to take them as our spiritual mentor, as a spiritual teachers, so that, we don't kind of give ourselves to sometimes a teacher who is unqualified, so that so those are important, as it's not like you don't just rush in because you feel emotionally something, Our emotions are unstable. One day we feel so close, so, feeling like, oh, and next day you might have different feelings, So sometimes we tend to just follow the emotions, oh, I feel so connected with that teacher. When I saw him, when I met him or her, I had that special experience, or I felt very close, but that might not last. That is not the way of finding a spiritual teacher or mentor. Is, knowing what qualification and examining over the time whether that person has those qualifications or not, before we can commit ourselves in that relationship as a spiritual mentor and disciple or students, so that so there is no misunderstanding, there's no unrealistic expectations, um, so that we don't end up being disappointed later. All of that. So that is important. They talk about 10 qualifications, and I'm not going to go each of them, but some of the important qualification is to have the compassion to have real compassion from the teachers to the students, that they really want to help and when they need in their spiritual path. And secondly, of course, they need to know the subject of that particular whatever meditation practice that they are helping, guiding. They need to know the subject, and the teacher need to be, have a strong moral discipline, so need to have strong moral discipline, and then of course many other qualifications, being patient and so forth, because sometimes the student cannot get everything immediately, It requires a lot of patience to help them to understand, to guide them in their practice meditations, so they don't easily give up when someone's not making progress easily, or when they are unable to follow the advice. So, having the patience with that. So, yeah. So I think those are some of the main kind of important qualifications, but generally 10 qualifications, that you find. Yeah, I don't know whether we need to go each of them. Maybe I don't need to go each of them. So once, since it is very important, our spiritual path, it's very important to really analyze and investigate by knowing all these qualifications and what it means and all of that. And once we have taken someone as our spiritual mentor or guidance or teachers, then next is kind of how to rely properly. It's like, like in everything, if you want to have child, then you have to first think a lot. And once you have child, you have to dedicate yourself for their upbringing. You cannot just kind of, the same with our spiritual relations. It's same with any relationship. When two persons decide to engage, as a life partner, husband, wife, whatever, first, because it's such a important and long commitment, you have to really think from both sides, and investigate whether we are ready to make those commitments. And once we make commitments, sometimes there will be obstacles, challenges, and it's all about working with the obstacles and challenges, and not just giving up and say, I'm done with that because there is some challenges, because there's some difficulties, whether it's a relation between two persons, wife and husband, or whether it's a relation between children and parents, or any other kind of relationship, it's not going to be always perfect, Same will be that relation in a spiritual relationship between the mentor and the disciple or the student. it's also not going to be perfect all the time. There will be challenges. There will be difficulties sometimes, different personality, we have different set of minds, different expectations, and sometimes those are not met. And when those are not met, then sometimes, and so again, so when those things happen, we don't easily just wash our hands and give up. It's just which we have committed with such a secret relationship, spiritual. And so we need to work on our own mind and trying to improve, whatever difficulties, challenges that we're been trying to work with that, and through that trying to, rely correctly and properly. Another thing, sometimes one of the problems that we have, and sometimes I observe, sometimes my impression, observation is sometimes in such a relationship, spiritual relationship between the disciple or student and the spiritual teacher or mentor is, sometimes we get in that relationship on the basis of, almost like looking at that teacher as like more than spiritual mentor, as like our father figure, mother figure, that's someone who is going to care me, someone who is going to look after me. And I think that is wrong motivations, wrong way of thinking. And when they don't get that kind of care, they get disappointed. That I've noticed and seen quite often. People being, maybe the teacher pay attention at the very beginning, and later maybe the teacher too busy, or they have too many students to give time to everyone. And then the person feels disappointed, and that they have been kind of ignored because they are not getting same attention that they used to get. Sometimes it become, whether I get the attention or not. As long as I get the attention, he or she is my spiritual master, I can have that respect, I can all of that. But once he or she doesn't have give me any more attentions, then feel like I'm being abandoned, feel like that I'm not important. And sometimes you don't have any spiritual caution. It's just, you just want the attentions, basically, Is one thing you have spiritual cautions, and that the teacher is not giving the spiritual answer that you want or help. Then that will be another matter, because the role of spiritual mentor or teachers is to provide or whatever he or she knows, to share whatever cautions or difficulty they have on a spiritual level. The spiritual mentor is not to fix your worldly life. Do you get it? And sometimes students come with that kind of expectations, or the teacher should be able to solve all my worldly problem, and a place where I can go and ask all my worldly problems, But sometimes there is that kind of expectations, and then they get disappointed. I think that is from the very beginning. I think that motivations, we have to really check our intention, motivations, and to have that relation with the right motivation, right intentions, so then we don't kind of get disappointed and started to have negative thoughts, feelings, Is not a healthy, where someone you have taken your spiritual master's mentor and then started a lot of those negative thoughts and feelings, So not to end up in that situation and state is very important to check and have the right motivation from the very beginning, because I've seen, many students over the years, where they are so devoted with certain teachers. And then later, you don't see them, there's no more there. And sometimes the reason is because maybe they couldn't have easy access as they used to have, and they get disappointed. And now they're looking for another teacher where they can have easy access and where they get more attentions. And at the very beginning, they get some attentions, easy access, and then over the time, again, they might not be able to give same all the time because there's so many other students and who need, and they're busy, and then again they get disappointed, and then they keep on moving and changing all the time, and so it always lead. You got disappointed here, disappointed here, disappointed here, and there, end up being disappointed all the time. That is because sometimes we are seeking attention more than actually spiritual guidance in our path. So that is, I think, I feel that is important factor for us to keep in mind, that doesn't has to be all the time, For example, in my cases, His Holiness Dalai Lama is one of my main teachers, root teachers. I don't have direct access to him, and I don't need that direct access to him. I get all my cautions from his teachings. I might have some, misunderstanding or not understanding on certain topics, certain subjects on the spiritual path. Sometimes I might have some doubt. Sometimes I might have certain, not clear. And a lot of those answers I get from his teachings. And that is what I needed. I don't need a direct access to have, go to gimmick, as long as you get. Of course, if you have direct access, is even better, For some people, maybe that is important, for some people, maybe it's important. And maybe they need some help in that, through direct access, So, yeah. So that is one important to keep in mind. And then in terms of relying properly in thoughts and actions, in terms of the thoughts, then it is, trying to generate a strong faith devotions. That teacher, mentor. And so since you are trying to develop strong devotion and faith, you have to be more careful from the very beginning, analyze, examine whether that person is qualified or not. That is the important. That is why that becomes important. Once we develop that relationship, then we try to generate, not have negative thoughts, any negative thoughts, but try to have, positive thoughts such as trust, faith, devotions, and the more faith, more devotions, more trust we have, the more our mind become open and softening, the more our mind be opening and softening, we are able to receive more. We are able to receive more. When our mind is hard, like a rock, even when it rains, nothing happens. Of the earth in the garden is very, very hard. Even water, even it rains, it doesn't give any plant to grow. But when it's soft, when you have to walk with that, then when it rains, then the plant starts to grow. And that's same, and I think you can see, I personally find very much that is the case for me, when I'm trying to listen to the teachings from any teachers, depending on how much strong faith, devotion, trust I have, I receive more. I'm able to receive more. The more faith I have, more trust I have, the more devotion I have, their advice, their instructions, their suggestions, opinions, whatever, that become very, very helpful. It really sink in my mind. Otherwise, if I don't have the faith, devotions, trust, I hear nice word, oh, it's a nice teaching. Oh, they presented very nice, it's eloquent. But it doesn't really touch your mind and transformation. You doesn't really have transformations. That is how much difference it makes. That is how much it makes difference in terms of receiving it, depending on how your mind is open from that perspective. Otherwise, I'm just reading a book. It's very eloquent. It's nicely put. It is very, but in terms of transforming your mind, in terms of really sinking inside, it doesn't have that effect. And sometimes we think it is the teacher. It is not the teacher. It's your state of mind. How open your mind was. There is a story of one of the Kadamba masters. He will go to all the teachings. Of he himself was a great teacher. But he will also go to different teachers. Whenever he will start going to the teachings. And some of his disciples tell, that teacher had nothing to offer new things. That teachers didn't explain anything new thing, something special. Why do you go and listen? And he said, don't say that. Every time I go, I get something. I get benefit. So because his mind is so open, he receives something helpful, benefit all the time, no matter where he goes. On others, someone who is listening, they don't get any benefit because their mind was not so open. And that is the case with that. So therefore, that is why trying to cultivate strong faith, devotions, and trust for that purpose to make our mind more open, more softening, so the plant of realization can start to grow through those teachings, advice, instructions, by sinking inside, not just going outside from ear to ear, but actually going in your heart, sinking it. And in order to have that kind of strong devotions, faith, trust, then we need to meditate, contemplate on all the positive qualities of that spiritual masters, whatever, especially inner spiritual positive qualities that we see, we observe, we hear, through the more you contemplate, the more you think, the more you meditate on that, the more our devotions, faith increase. And then, by meditating and contemplating on the kindness of their teachers, then we try to generate a strong sense of appreciation, gratitude, and respect. So again, we try to meditate, just like we try to meditate on kindness of mother to develop bodhicitta mind, to develop same way we try to also meditate on kindness of the spiritual master in terms of guiding us, in terms of helping us on our spiritual path. Sometime, over the time after we have studies over the years, spend time with them, years study, and as our knowledge get better, sometimes we might forget their kindness. Now it feels like they have nothing more to offer to you. You know everything that they are saying, everything they offer. And we might feel kindness, but actually to reach that point is because of their kindness. That is how I always felt some of my early teachers. Even though I didn't understand much when I was studying with them, I was very young. My knowledge of language was very, not enough, because Tibetan wasn't my language, so it is something new language, and I'm very young, and I didn't understand much, some of them I was just repeating it, memorizing, just repeating it. I didn't know what I was repeating, what I was memorizing, but I just repeat. That is how we train and learn at the very beginning, and but as you progress slowly, we will get to have a little bit better understanding. And then I begin to look back, whatever I've been able to study, learn, whatever small knowledge, experience I have is due to the kindness and contribution of all my earliest masters, teachers. As I mentioned before, at the very beginning, even when I go to His Holiness the Lama's teaching, I couldn't understand most of the time. I can a little bit understand when he started giving a general advice, but when he go into the text itself and the subject, then I get totally lost. But now I don't get that lost. I can understand that. Practice is one thing, but in terms of understanding, I can understand that. And it is because of kindness of my teacher in Sherab, with whom I study. They helped me to build up that foundations. Those foundations, without those foundations, I wouldn't be able to start understand many of even his own teaching now. Especially when he go in more depth in some of the Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist texts, practices. So that is the so that is just to give it just an example, So their kindness, to help us to, help us to reach where we are in terms of spiritual practice, our understanding, our knowledge, our practice. Without their kindness, we wouldn't be there where we are. I wouldn't be there where I am. So the more you contemplate, the more you think of them, the more you meditate on that, the more you feel gratitude, the more you feel respect, the more you feel very appreciative of them, and And through that kind of feeling appreciative, grateful and respectful, again, it open your mind, it soften your mind. Mm. Yeah, and so meditating on kindness of them in terms of providing us, all the different empowerment, providing us those different commentaries, oral transmissions, the precept, the vows, providing us all those different teaching, different advice, instructions, and sometimes even not only spiritual practice, sometimes when we need help, also providing, general advice in our life, how to deal with our life and difficulty and challenges, whenever they can, whenever we ask. So remembering all of that, meditating, and then trying. So that is relying properly in thought. So that is through meditation in your thoughts. And relying properly in terms of actions, then whenever we can, when we have possibility and when we have opportunity and when we are able, then, providing them service whenever is needed, whatever service that we need, and helping them in whatever way we can help, whenever is needed and whenever we are able, as a way of repaying the kindness, through our service, through our offerings. And especially the best way to repay the kindness is actually put all this advice, instructions, teaching into the practice. That's the best teaching, best way of repaying the kindness. When we actually put into that practice, when we actually integrate and apply those teaching instructions into the practice, and when we start to really have change in our own mind, that is the best offering, that is the best kindness, repaying the kindness we can do if we can do that. The teacher will be most happy. True, authentic, qualified teacher will be most happy when they see the students being more patient than they used to be. Before they're kind of angry person, and they see they're starting to soften their mind, becoming more tolerant, more patient through practicing. Before they are very selfish. Now they're starting to become less selfish. Before they have so much desire, too much uncontrollable desire. Now they're starting to see less desire. And those changes, positive change in the student happens because they have applied those teachings, instruction, advice in their life, apply and meditated, contemplated, apply. So they started to have changes. And when they see the change in that, that will make such teachers most happy. And that is the best way of repaying the kindness. So that is properly relying in actions. That is how, in actions, that is how we try to. So that is, and when we do that, as is the author Lama Tsongkhapa himself said, in the Lam Rim, the great and middle Lam Rim, he said even the outline is for the root of all the realizations is the Guru devotions, and properly rely on the Guru, or the spiritual master. So what it means is, all the spiritual realizations come through that. And it should be as I mentioned before, the spiritual realization are like a plant, different plants that grows, in our heart. In order for those plants to grow it, the earth has to be soft and suitable. Without that suitable soil, nothing will grow. And through that Guru devotions and proper reliance is, is making our soil of the mind, more suitable to those realizations to grow. And when it's more suitable, then you will have more spiritual realizations. When your ground is not suitable, then nothing grows inside. Nothing grows inside. And so, and if you observe, that I do really feel, many of the great masters, authentic great master teachers, they're so strong in those practice, so strong in those practice. If anyone who knows Lama Zopa Rinpoche, for example, his devotion to his teachers, his guru is, unimaginable. I don't have that even one, even 1/10 of what he has in terms of his, and I think all other practice, all the realizations, so much compassion, bodhicitta, and all of other practice, I think it comes through that, as it mentions. Even in, I forgot exactly the name of the teachers, in one of the great Sakya masters, one of the earlier great Sakya masters, he was great master, and he has cousins, and who was taking care of him, and looking after him, and from whom he have received, the cousin have received a lot of teachings, instruction from that. But he struggled to have any spiritual realizations, And one time he asked his uncle, the great Sakya master, why is that I'm struggling to have this, even though I'm practicing, even though I'm meditating, even though I'm putting all this, I couldn't have any spiritual realization. Why is that? And his uncle says, because you still treat me like your uncle, not as a teacher. You don't see me as your guru or teachers. Even he's receiving all the teaching, everything. You see me as your uncle. Once he started to shift his mind from seeing instead of uncle, but as his spiritual master and guru, and relying from that perspective, he started to have more spiritual realizations. And there are many stories like that among, and that the cousins of that teacher was also became a great Sakya masters, one of great Sakya master as well. Here was another story of, again, someone who had been meditating, practicing, and I think he have same kind of struggles, not being able to kind of move forward, not being able to have the realizations. And when he went and asked for advice from one of the teachers, and of course sharing how he's practicing, how he's visualizing, and all of that, and it is mentioned in that stories that, there was one teacher earlier in his life, one teacher, who helped him to, learn alphabet and some others basic kind of teachings. And he never taught that he's as a guru. He never put him in his merit field of the lineage gurus, and that might have been the obstacles. And so the advice was that he should keep that in his merit field and as a guru and teachers. And once he's able to do that, then he is able to have develop the spiritual realization. So there are many stories like that, among the earlier spiritual masters, So again, just to give some ideas, okay. seeing this wish, so 12, number 12 is, I think, continuity of that same. Seeing this, we should never forsake him or her, even in the course of our life, so, and please him with the offering, implementing his words. So that means putting all his words, his teaching in the practice. I, the yogi, have practiced in this manner. You who inspire for liberation too should do likewise. So here, I, yogi, means Lama Tsongkhapa. Him saying, I have practiced in this manner. So he's sharing his experience because it's a song of his spiritual experience. So he said, this is how I used to practice. This is how I'm going to practice. And for those, his follower like us, who's coming later, his advice, you, those who aspire for liberations, who want to get out of samsara, sufferings, who aspire for liberation, you should also do likewise like that. You should also practice that way. So he's saying, I practice that way, and through that practice, I've been able to develop those spiritual realizations. And if you want to develop spiritual realizations and you aspire for liberation, also you should follow and practice that way. So that is his advice. In some these text scriptures, sometimes the word might have changed a little bit. Instead of I, yogi, have practiced this way, there sometimes you have this, the venerable Lama or the spiritual masters have practiced in this manner, and you who inspire liberation should do like that. And that was later changed by his disciples, So instead of I, yogi, which Lama Tsongkhapa wrote, then they say the venerable Lama, referring to Lama Tsongkhapa. So sometimes you see two different versions. So this is actually wrote by Lama Tsongkhapa, and that version is changed by the disciples. So that one. Okay, and then next one is inspiring, and encouraging to take essence from your life, to make your life meaningful, to make your life meaningful and not waste it by recognizing and understanding how precious it is. If we recognize and understand how precious it is, we will make most of it. We will not waste it. If we don't recognize how precious it is, even we waste it, we might not recognize how we are wasting our time, our life. And so therefore, so then, precious human rebirth, meditation, precious human rebirth. Next one is meditation, precious human rebirth. This life of leisure is even more precious than wish-granting jewels. So we have this life of leisure means, free from the obstacle to practice the Dharma. That's what leisure here means. This life was a leisure, because not everyone is free from the condition to practice Dharma. A lot of sentient beings have a lot of obstacles. There are too much obstacles. Even they want to practice, there's too much obstacles them to allow them to practice. So, without going detail, but then if you want to go more detail, then you again in middle and great lump, you can read, study more, and meditating on 8 leisure and 10 freedom or endowments. So precious life with 18 qualities, So if we can meditate each of those leisure, each of those 10 endowment or richness or freedom. endowment or richness. And those are the richness or endowment means having the right conditions. Leisure is free from the obstacles to practice the Dharma, and the endowment or richness are the right conducive conditions to practice the Dharma. In other words, it's saying that we are free from all the obstacles to practice Dharma, and we have gathered all the conditions to practice the Dharma. And therefore, we have to recognize that and be aware of that, And this precious human life with these 18 qualities is more precious than wish-granting jewels. Supposedly, there is a wish-granting jewel where you can make your wish of this life and everything's, in terms of materials, whatever you wish. You want a house on the beach, then you have suddenly house on the beach. You want a house on the mountains, you have a house on the mountains, just come there. Your wish is granted, wherever you want to, and you want a, car, Mercedes car, it show up. Suddenly, Mercedes car is here. You want to have the best partners you find there. So whatever wish you make in terms of external, that can fulfill your wish. If you find something like that, wish granting jewel, something like that, how precious you will feel about that. Do you get it? You will feel so precious of that, You will hold that more dear than your own life, That will how we will feel, so precious. We would like to protect it so much. We don't want to destroy it. We don't want to, get lost of it, and we will make most of it, Maybe 24 hours, you will make all different wishes. With all your different list of your wish, whatever your list have, you started to tick all of this list, Oh, please me, may I have that one, may I have that one may I have, So here is saying this precious life, even more precious than that. Because even you have something like that, that's wish granting jewel, it can only provide you the external material things that you wish. It cannot provide you internal peace, happiness. But with this precious human life, if we actually practice, if we actualize it properly, and if we really put our effort into the practice, we can achieve inner peace, inner happiness, which you cannot buy with the money, which you cannot buy with this wealth. The wish granting jewel, even that you cannot get from that. And because what is more important? Is the material wealth more important, or inner peace and happiness more important? That's what, Do I want to have all the material things, but I'm not happy inside? I'm not peaceful inside? I'm not satisfied inside? Or do I want more inner peace, sense of joyfulness, sense of satisfaction in life? If you want that, then this becomes more precious. Because with this, you can achieve that. With this precious life, you can achieve that if you put the effort to do that. Not only happiness and peace of satisfaction in your mind in this life, but from Buddhist point of view, you can achieve happiness of future lives. You can achieve happiness of liberations from this human life if we put in effort. Liberations, total liberation from all the delusions, all the, cause of all the sufferings, the delusions. Not only that, we can achieve fully enlightenment, the best we could be. the highest potential, free from all the obscuration, all the negativities, actualize all the positive qualities, all of those different levels of happiness, all those different levels of happiness, all this different level of inner peace and happiness can be achieved by this precious human life if we put into good practice. From that perspective, then it is more precious than wish-granting joy. It's more precious than wish-granting joy. Because if we utilize this life to dedicate ourselves, put more effort in working with our mind, we can achieve that, all of that we cannot buy by external wealth. So that is what is the lesser, even more precious than a wish-granting joy. Not only is precious, but is rare to achieve such precious life again and again. And so therefore that I found such an existence is only one, this once. Of course here the referring once doesn't mean only number ones, it just means rare. Okay. It doesn't mean that we have not achieved precious human life in the past. And this is the only ones, but what it means is rare, not easy, it's rare. If it's so easy and rare, even we waste this life, at least we can have hope for next one. Do you get it? If it's so easy to get it, well, maybe I can get distracted with samsara, other things, with external wealth, external things. But maybe next time I can try next time, But here is saying it's not easy, it's rare to have all this kind of condition again and again. Even in this life, when we have best condition, if we don't utilize it, that condition can change. So many of we have seen, our health conditions might not be same. At the moment, we might be able to practice, but when our health conditions decrease, we might not have same condition. Even you want to practice, we become very weak. Our mind becomes weak. We cannot concentrate so well. So therefore, it becomes more and more challenging. It becomes more challenging. And so therefore, the point is whenever we have the opportunity, don't waste it. Make most of it, because the condition might not be always there. We for granted that we will have that same condition all the time, We tend to take that way, isn't it? Even I'm finding, my memory is not as strong as it used to be, So, so it's rare to have all these conditions, the best condition to practice the Dharma, and make our life meaningful, and therefore, since it's so rare, again, if we don't want to do more extensive meditation, then we can think is read in terms of the examples, is read in terms of the nature, is read in terms of cause. And so if you think more in that extensive, then again, you feel how rare it is, in terms of the cause, to have such a precious human life is, the cause is, described as the pure moral discipline and the practice with generosity and right dedications. And if we see, how not easy it is to keep the pure discipline, moral discipline, to be practiced and to be able to keep our vows or commitments or our moral discipline is not easy. On top of that, the practice, you need the generosity. On top of that, we need to have the right dedication. So all these are not so easy. We have put a lot of effort to do all of that. If the cause is rare, the result will be rare. You know, if the cause is rare, difficult, the result will be rare. And from that perspective, we begin to understand how rare such precious human life is. You know, and with that, and so with that understanding, how rare and difficult it is to find, therefore we come to conclusion, I don't want to waste this precious life, which is full of potentials, and I don't want to waste. I want to make most of it. Take essence from this life, make it meaningful. And the best way to make meaningful is to practice the Dharma. Practice the Dharma means working with our mind. Working with our mind to reduce those negative, harmful thoughts, feeling, emotions, trying to improve and increase those positive mind, positive emotion, feelings. That is the very essence of the practice of the Dharma. Even though there are different forms of doing that, different method, different way, different form to do that, but basically the essence of practicing Dharma means working with our mind. That is all it is about. You know, trying to reduce and overcome, you know, anger, hatred, evil feelings, trying to reduce strong greediness, strong, too much, you know, uncontrollable, strong desire or attachments, trying to reduce ignorance, you know, trying to reduce and overcome, you know, sense of arrogance, you know, looking down on others and so forth, you know, treating others, mistreating others through that kind of arrogance, trying to reduce selfish attitude, you know, trying to reduce jealousy, all of those different, you know, negative thoughts or feelings, emotions, and trying to improve inner positive qualities, such as, you know, trying to improve our patience, tolerance, trying to improve our moral discipline, trying to improve our loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind, trying to improve our wisdom, you know, yeah, trying to improve, you know, so all that, you know, working with our mind to reduce and overcome those negative, harmful thoughts, and trying to improve and increase those positive thoughts and feelings. That is the essence of the Dharma practice. You know, how to do it, then there are different methods, different practice, a different method, you know. So when we talk about Dharma practice, that is what we have to understand. Okay. Sometimes when you think of Dharma, sometimes we forget the essence, and then we get caught up in some kind of, you know, the culture, the traditions, the rituals, the ceremonies, you know. We relate Dharma with that more than actually really the very essence of that. Sometimes, you know, so that is so dedicating our life to work. So if we can work on that, you know, to really work with our Dharma practice, with our mind in that way, and practice the Dharma, you know, then no doubt, you over the time and with the practice, you will definitely start to find more peace in your life. You will start to feel more happiness in your life. You know? And more peace, more happiness, and with improving those positive inner qualities, by reducing those inner negative qualities, you will be able to interact with others better. You know, your interactions with anyone that come in your life will be much more positive, better. You will have better interaction with everyone. That will make your life better. It will make others' life better. You know. And if there's a future life, you don't have to worry about it. You have created the right cause and condition to have better future life. You know, if there isn't, don't worry about it. You know, you live your life more happier, more peaceful. That is it. But if there is a future life, also you have created the right cause and conditions. You know, it's all about creating the right cause and conditions. I always say it's not based on whether you believe or not believe. It's based on whether you have created the right cause and condition or not. You know, it's not that karma functions if you believe in it. It doesn't function if you don't believe it. You know, due to certain cause and conditions, certain consequences, certain result will happen. Whether you believe that it's going to happen or not believe, it doesn't change. You know, believing that hurricane will not come or believing it will come, it doesn't change what you believe. When the right cause condition comes, there will be storm. It doesn't change whether you believe it or not believe it. If there's enough condition there to create a storm, there will be storm. If there is no condition to create a storm, it doesn't create conditions. There will be no storm whether you believe or not. It's all about creating the cause conditions. And so, you know, you don't have to worry about that, you know. Sometimes, you know, we don't focus on creating cause and condition. We just worry about things, you know. We started worrying about things instead of focusing on creating the cause and conditions. You know, it should be the other way around. If you create cause and condition, you don't have to worry it, you know. So through that meditation practice, as we contemplate, as we reflect, as we meditate more and more on that, how precious it is and how rare it is, and that you don't want to waste it, you want to, because it has so much precious, so much potential, you want to make most of it, make it meaningful. And the way to make it meaningful, practice the Dharma. That means working our mind, not only practice the Dharma, then, you know, we should focus, we should give more time to the Dharma. You know, we should give more time to the Dharma because that is more important, to work with our mind. You know. And if we really practice the Dharma, if we really integrate and practice the Dharma, you know, not only you will be, you know, find more peace, happiness in yourself, that you will be able to do, interact better, be more kind to others, less harm to others, more helpful to others while you are alive. At the time of death, you have less regret, less guilty, less negative feelings about your life when you look back. No, I've been too selfish all my life. I haven't been able to do much good things, and doesn't bother you because you have been less selfish through your practice. You can rejoice all of that. So, so you can have more peaceful death, more peaceful transitions without so much of that negative feelings, fear, worry, guilt, regret, all of that. Instead, you can have more peace when you reflect on your life, how you spend your life, how you did, how in your life you feel good about, more good about it. And so you will have more peaceful, transitions of death. And then after the death, as I mentioned, if there's future life, you don't have to worry about it. You have created the cause and conditions so that you can continue to have better conditions to practice the Dharma in the future. So you can continue to grow on your spiritual path until we achieve the enlightenment, how many even it takes to do that. So improving your conditions, life after life, better conditions, and better improvement life after life. So that is, so I think maybe that is all for today. Any questions? Does anyone have any questions?
Lyra has a question.
Yes, please, Lera, please.
Well, first of all, I do want to thank you for coming here. Thanks for everybody else to come here. And so are we having kind of like a workshop with you next weekend? Is that what's happening kind of?
No, I think next week we have potluck, yeah.
Yes.
So we are having just a potluck of gatherings.
Oh, I see.
So on Saturday, okay. So I'm coming on Thursday to teach. Normally I go back on Friday. Since I have to come again on Saturday, so I will just stay on that Friday. So, and because I have to teach for the group in Santa Fe on Friday evening, so that is why I needed access to teach in the evening that day. So we are going to have just a potluck gathering, on this Saturday. And we are hoping to have a retreat in Santa Fe in end of October. I don't remember exactly date. I think it might happen 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So that is what we are, if we are able to open before that, if we get the permit to open that, and everyone's hope that they will be able to get the permit before that. So if that we get permit, then we have planned to hold retreat there, Friday evening, Saturday and Sunday. So here at the moment, we don't have any kind of plan at the moment, but this coming Saturday we have potluck for people to get together, and of course, if people have questions, discussion, we can always, that is always open. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, any others? Otherwise, we'll do the dedications then.
Eloise, do you want the list? I think, yeah, you can do it if you have the list.
Anything back there. But I don't have my glasses.
Okay.
But the list is here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll keep in mind with our dedications for those suffering obstacles, Siri, Alyssa, Laura, Maggie, Jim Bailey, SJ, Nene, Auntie Nas, or something. Yeah. Dasha, Katya, Deb, John, Jiwan, Sear, Mara, Bill, Jana, Jeffrey, Vivian, Sebastian, and Anna. people in Florida with the hurricane. Yes, indeed.
And Cuba, Cuba, and
Yeah.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Is the hurricane hitting there too?
Yeah, hit
It's
that
already
first.
hit
It already
there.
did.
Yes, it's already gone.
So those suffering illness, John Bailey, Siri, person who's had 2 fingers amputated, all the people injured in Ukraine, Walter, Dorcas, David, Patty, Alan Gregory, Arrow the dog, Irma, Diane, Randy R, Lisa C, Clea Shear, Jack, Lara, Ed Hammond, Rolf, Sujata, and those who have recently died. Claire, 3 people who died in the floods, all people who died in the war in Ukraine, the wildlife who died in unsuitable environments, Frankie the dog, Laura, Chuck, Ruta Bayala, Michael Malone, Laura, Dale, Myra, Suzanne, Amigo the horse, and Checkers the cat.
And Queen Elizabeth too.
Indeed.
Hillary Nelson.
So I'm keeping those in our hearts.
Thank you, Olivia. On page 235 in your prayer books, we'll do the first 2 general dedication prayers in Tibetan. And on page 244, we will do the long life prayers for His Holiness Dalai Lama and Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and we'll do the new prayer for His Holiness, which is paper clipped into the book. We'll do them in Tibetan. Jigten, On page 282, we will do prayer for Osohita, Lama Yeshe's reincarnation, the first paragraph on page 282 in English. Number 1, to you whose kindness exceeds that of all the conquerors, for those wanderers in far off places, especially the West. Mindful of your loving concern for us and intentionally descending again,
into a family of a far distant land, we make this request. Oh, Mama, please see me along.
May our venerable Lama's lives be firm, their bright divine actions spread in the 10 directions, and the torch of Love Song's teachings dispelling the darkness of the 3 worlds beings always remain. In all future lives, may we never be parted from the perfect Lamas and pure ways of the Dharma. May we gain every experience of the path and stages, and quickly attain the stage of holy Dharma knowledge.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.